CFO Playbook by CEO East Africa Magazine in association with ACCA Uganda and Deloitte.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the CFO Playbook, a show of the CEO East Africa Magazine that's dedicated to celebrating finance and accounting excellence. With me here is a lady. Ladies first, and a gentleman. The lady is from ACCA Uganda. She's called Charlotte. She's a country director of ACCA Uganda. And of course, we also have Joseph from Deloitte. Myself, Cham, I work for the CEO East Africa Magazine as executive editor. The only difference between me and these gentlemen is that they used to like mathematics, which I never used to like, but now here I am running the show. One of the things I love about being a journalist. But I think what we share in common is our commitment to try and better the finance profession in Uganda. And this show takes place on the sidelines of the CFO Awards 2024, which have been gracefully and graciously brought to us by Deloitte Uganda and ACCA for the last 7 years. Now we're going to the 8th year. So we thank you, gentlemen, for doing this. And along the way, we shall get to talk about, of course, the awards and how they've been progressing, some of the key lessons learned, and why it is important for finance professionals to get involved. But for now, I think it is important that we first get to know who you guys are, where you come from, and what you do, and why you're here on this show. I think we shall start with you, Charlotte, from ACCA. Tell us about yourself.
I'm Charlotte Kukunda, and I'm the country manager at ACCA Uganda. And my role really is to lead the team and the mandate of ACCA globally in this country. We are a professional body, globally recognized, and in Uganda we promote the profession, which is accountancy. So we've managed to keep it relevant and attractive to the current generation and the next generation, which is right now a key mandate for us, and also maintain those who have qualified through programs that give them value and ensure that they retain the career success that they set out to achieve when they enrolled and qualified. That is what ACCA does in Uganda. And the CFO Awards just happen to be an initiative or a program that addresses the member community, particularly those who have attained finance leadership in the title of Chief Financial Officers.
Thank you, Charlotte. Joseph, over to you.
Thank you, Cham. Joseph Ssekabira is my name. I'm an associate director with Deloitte. I also happen to be leading the risk advisory function within Uganda. As you might be aware, Deloitte offers a whole range of professional services, including audit, tax, risk advisory, strategy, and consulting. Most important, I'm a proud member of ACCA, and I'm a fellow. I have been an aspiring CFO at some point, and I've done finance and accounting, and I'm very passionate about finance accounting, and I can attest to the benefit that I have accrued from being a member of ACCA. Thank you.
Cool. Like I said earlier, I love to think of this show as a non-finance show with finance people. Joseph, you said you are FCCA. What is the FCCA?
So when you are FCCA, you are a fellow. You are a member of the association, but you are now a more experienced member, which means you've attained over 5 years as being a member of the ACCA, and that's what makes you a fellow.
So, like they say in Uganda, obera wa chitaro in these matters.
Absolutely.
Okay, interesting. Going back to Charlotte, you say you are committed to promoting the profession and getting value out of it. From where you sit, what are some of the emerging trends that you see out there in the profession that maybe aspiring finance professionals should be watching out for, or that should interest them?
It's interesting that you ask, because we're at a point where post-COVID, we realized how much had changed. When the world evolved, it put up, I think, a couple of things that were underlying, but then they were now put into the fast track. So finance professionals have always been busy. It has always been an intense role. But after that, the realization of how much more they have to do to maintain productivity, to grow the organizations that they lead, especially for the corporates, to lead in the technology advancements, to take care of the people in form of their talent. A lot was brought to light as bringing also their competences and the strength of a finance function within an organization. So our challenge right now is the next generation ready for this responsibility and the commitment? So the role keeps growing. It doesn't take away the finance functions that finance professionals have to do. It looks like they're getting more pivotal with everything else that is coming through, from sustainability to, embracing and adapting to, new technologies. Then with the advancement, I think, of everything around us, new regulations. So that adaptability means they have to be very agile in getting the results today, but also planning for the future and keeping at the top of it. So the ones who are already in the role, yes, the speed of change means they have to be very agile, but the ones coming into the role means they have to look at this role not only with the enablers that are available, but the responsibilities they carry with it, because new technologies have new challenges that they have to adapt to.
Okay, great, interesting. Joseph, recently I did a story around the top 100 CEOs, and for some reason there seems to be, and you'll forgive me if I sound like I'm a bit envious, I'm from the marketing side, and I didn't seem to see a lot of marketing people getting into CEO roles. I see a lot of CFOs, and maybe I don't want to think of this as professional envy. Why do you think more and more CFOs are being trusted with the leadership, of organizations? And is this something you guys are doing that maybe we guys need to start doing? Should we start an ACCA for marketers maybe, or something like that?
Rightly, yeah, you might want to consider an ACCA for marketers. That would be a good venture. But the reason you are seeing CFOs advance through the ranks to CEO is because they are playing a pivotal role in supporting the C-suite, the CEOs. And once CFOs be seen as the right-hand man for the CEO, then there is interest and there is an opportunity for them. They are seen as value creators. They are seen as trusted advisors. They play a very pivotal role when it comes to planning, when it comes to formulating a strategy. But then it doesn't end there. It goes beyond. When it comes to actual implementation of the strategy, they are at the forefront. The role is no longer limited to bookkeeping. It's no longer limited to financial accounting and reporting. No, it's now beyond that. As a CFO, you need to be able to provide insights into the business, have an awareness of the environment in which the business is operating, and relay that information to your CEO. You need to be able to leverage the teams that you work with in order to create productivity within the business and efficiency. And once you do that right, you are a leader within the business, and that positions you quite well for the CEO role.
So you're saying if I want to get to be a CEO, I need to go back to school and start, getting, But of course, on a more serious note, if you being in Deloitte Uganda, and of course you have global reach, and I'm sure you get to consume different insights and perspectives from across the world. do you see any particular differences in terms of the demands that maybe a CFO in Uganda needs or across the rest of the world, or are they the same? How does the Ugandan landscape compare to the rest, at least within the region and outside that?
That's a very good question. The evolution of a CFO role has not been unique to, say, the Western world. It cuts across. There are things that Charlotte has spoken about, the advancements in technology, the now regulatory requirements. Those do cut across. Once you see regulation in Europe, it's going to affect you. An example is data privacy. And any CFO, whether in Uganda, in Kenya, which is across the border, in the US, has to have a mind of awareness of these trends and advancements that affect the CFO role. So it affects any CFO, and there might be unique circumstances, for example, when it comes to regulation. For example, in our case in Uganda, when it comes to financial institutions, but there are similarities even when you look at those unique circumstances. So the demands and expectations on a CFO, very similar.
Interesting. And speaking about the changing role of the CFOs, of course, these days I've seen quite some organizations even like move a step ahead to even change the actual role itself to become chief value, and of course, going back to ACCA, how does ACCA or getting an ACCA qualification help provide the tools and the skills needed for you to be able to create this value? And how different is an ACCA qualification different from possibly the other available qualifications in the profession?
Thank you for asking, and I'd like to probably throw more light on what you referenced. What would a marketer, have to do to put themselves in the same competitive space with a CFO or someone with a financial background? Learning has now changed. There's a lot of blended learning where one can do finance for non-finance managers, and we have those sort of short-term qualifications or courses, and they don't need to do the full range of ACCA that is required of a qualified accountant. So that provision is there, and people can plug in their skill gaps by doing such short courses. But going back to your question of what would it take, one, it is first qualifying with the right qualifications to get the right competence finance professional. And ACCA has 3 levels. The first level is what one would really attain at a university doing a business course, and accounting in particular. That is what we refer to as applied knowledge. The second level is skills, and it's structured in a way that it's enabling someone get the required or requisite skills for a finance professional in all spheres, whether it's auditing, tax, performance management, a bit of the corporate and business law, and then finally accounting and financial management. Then at the third level, which in the UK is perceived to be at a master's level, that's the strategic professional, because we don't look at finance professionals as just accountants, but as strategic leaders. And it's codenamed that with intent to let the ones who are pursuing this know that they're actually going to be business advisors, and they should be operating at a strategic level. So upon qualification, when you get membership, because that's after you've worked for 3 years, you're required to do continuous professional development, because this is lifelong learning. You do not stop. I think we've hinted on all the changes that are happening, and you realize if you take a year without studying or adding to the knowledge, whether within your normal day-to-day work or through specialized learning, to plug a skill gap that you feel you have, or to become a knowledge expert in a chosen area.
Great. Thank you, Charlotte, for those insights. So if I hear you right, you're saying that it's not enough just say kati I've gotten the ACCA or I've reached this level, I have arrived, so I'm sorted. So you have to keep your eye in the game. You have to keep learning, because if you wink, you lose. Right. So let's get a little bit into the CFO awards. I know you've been doing these awards for now going into the eighth edition, and that's quite some bit of dedication. I would like to first from Charlotte, and then next from Joseph. I would like to understand what is in it for you. Why are you this committed? Why have you stayed this long into the awards, and how do they fit into your different, goals and agenda?
I mentioned keeping the profession attractive for the next generation is one of our strategic focus, and redefining the accountant is a goal that we have as part of our mandate. Now, the CFO awards have helped us to give profile to the role and the function. And while there are many other roles that professional accountants play, I think the CFO is one you'd perceive as occupying the highest position or finance leadership position in an organization. So we believe by recognizing excellence, recognizing those who have been outstanding in terms of their performance, and spotlighting this role, we are giving someone out there the motivation to aspire for more, or to look out to what is it they need to position themselves and be at the helm of their profession in form of a role. It doesn't mean that all professionals or all accountants will become CFOs, but at least it brings it to light for the ones who are still on the journey to understand what it is that they are pursuing. Beyond the spotlighting, we've seen this community of CFOs come to the forefront, and I believe this is the 8th year. If we go for another 8 years, we might find that almost all organizations will be led by finance professionals. And that was also partly our mandate, to make these roles' importance come to the forefront. You earlier referenced why are the CEOs now more of the financial background people rather than the marketers. And that is most of the narrative that is being put out there. It happens subtly, but the impact is felt with time. I can almost attest to the banking industry. I think we need to just get the numbers right, but a good number of our local banks is being led by ACCAs or professional accountants, and that's ideally why we believe in the CFO awards and pursue this CFO agenda, which includes more than awards, but forums for learning, as well as this community to mentor others and learn from each other.
Yeah, just to add on to what Charlotte has shared there, the awards are not simply a recognition. They offer a whole package to the CFO. There is an opportunity to network the different forums. And beyond networking, it gives an opportunity to the CFOs to share their story. How have they gotten up to where they are? How are they transforming businesses? So what the CFO award and the package that it comes with gives to the CFOs is to reignite the fire within their bellies and give them an opportunity or a forum from which they are now put in a spotlight, and to aspire even the younger people, but also those other professions to come on board and take the lead.
Okay. Interesting. I like that bit of reigniting the fire in the belly. It's an interesting way of looking at this. And back to Charlotte. You know, how the awards, I mean, I remember I was there when it all started. How have these awards evolved? I imagine for the better. What do you see from where you sit?
To start with, there's been growth and an increase in interest and participation. We've seen the number of categories alone increase from 5 that we started with to currently 10. And we've seen an increase of participation by female CFOs. It's slow, but it's gradually increasing. And if it's of any value, when we started out, I think the majority of the nominations would be male, and we increased the sectors to include not-for-profits, SMEs, with respect to the uniqueness of those sectors and the public sector. And now we see, while the winners might not necessarily be the females, but we see an increase in the participation of female CFOs. Beyond that, we've acknowledged that overall CFOs, the overall winners, usually between 2 years to 4 are already into more senior roles. And this was already depicted through research on the evolving role of the CFO and how they're being positioned to take on the senior leadership. So that has validated our thought process and the research that had been done earlier. And you could comfortably say out of the 10 winners that we have, 10 including the first runners-up that we've had in 3 takes, 5 are already CEOs or regional leaders of multinationals and multinational organizations. So that, for me, has been quite gratifying to see the growth and the positioning of these overall winners. But beyond the overall winners, we even have examples of those who were finalists within the process. They never got the award, but they're already CEOs. That is another category. So this community of CFOs that we are talking about is a huge resource for this nation, because these are nation builders. These are the ones that are going to drive organizational, performance, success, and the economy generally.
Speaking about gender inclusion, and again, this could be any of you guys, and from your perspectives, and when you're having conversations with other professionals, is it now easier to be a female CFO or finance professional than maybe than it was like 5 years ago, and what else more needs to be done to bring in more female CFOs? Because, and again, it's another conversation we're having offside, because you see most women are also like CFOs back at home, and they carry extra more roles that they have to fulfill. For example, things like if you have an evening, say event, you're likely to have more men than women, because the women have to go back home and play other roles. Do you feel it is any easier, or should we be doing more? Have we done enough?
There is definitely more that can be done, but what the CFO Forum has offered is a platform for everyone to shine. But there has also been a deliberate effort by the ACCA, as well as Deloitte, and as well as the leadership within our country, to put ladies at the forefront and give them opportunities to shine. The potential is huge for the ladies, and we have seen it by the many CEOs that have progressed from CFO role. Examples are abound. So what the CFO awards are doing now is giving them that platform to express themselves freely, while taking into recognition the challenges and the environment in which they operate. Yeah.
Is there, and just out of curiosity, of course, the two genders are not equal, but they do things differently. And especially in certain areas, certain genders tend to excel in certain areas. Within the finance profession, are there some remarked areas where you say generally the females tend to do better than men, and men tend to do better than female in these other areas? Not the overall profession, but there are certain elements of the profession that you could say, and I know it may not necessarily be like physical, why you say maybe in tennis or whatever men do. Is there something that you've observed, or there are no significant differences?
Charlotte, you want to go? Have a go at this.
I'd actually like to, leave it to you to respond to the different roles, but let me speak generally first. I think there's no better time for females to excel in the finance field than now. Globally, I think there's more attention to the diversity, equity and inclusion, equality and inclusion agenda. If I look at the numbers, the statistics for ACCA particularly, I'm not privy to all the other professional accountants in Uganda. 10 years back, female membership for ACCA was 37%. You could get in a room and it could really all be suits, because that's how professionally they present themselves. But right now, the membership, those are the qualified accountants, are at 44%. Now that is the members qualified. Student base, on the other hand, is almost at par. In the COVID year, we hit 51% female for students, and right now it has dropped back to 49. So if you look at the trajectory for education, beyond the numbers of females that don't complete, but we recruit from universities and high schools, females are still having a good go for this profession. When you look at the ways of working now, the new ways of working or the new order, it actually facilitates the female gender. We have a lot of flexible working. There's more attention to people and getting people to deliver from wherever they can. So yes, you might not attend that forum, but actually we have virtual options. Beyond that, you can do your role from home and be able to perform. So we do not want to recognize females alone, because we know they are competitive enough and they should be competing at the same front. We pay attention to detail. So I'd like probably, Joseph, from your experience when you deal, are females better auditors, or are they better at certain? But I think we might even be better leaders.
Yeah, I mean, you rightly said, multitasking. Females are definitely a little bit better than the gentlemen when it comes to multitasking. But from my experience, what I've seen, the analytical skills, when it comes to analysis of numbers, and now we're talking huge data that is at the disposal of these CFOs, the ladies tend to do a little bit better. Attention to detail is another area that you find that the ladies, in one way or the other, might outperform the gentlemen. Then I think as CFOs, you also have the mandate to ensure internal control within an organization. And I might need to be kept honest here, but I think when it comes to compliance and adherence, whether to standards set internally or even external related regulatory standards or laws and frameworks, the ladies will also tend to perform a little bit better because they're stringent when it comes to enforcing internal control and the like. It doesn't mean that the gentlemen are dropping the ball. No, but there are certain areas where you can see a little bit of an edge. Yeah.
Great. In the marketing circles, there's been a phenomenon we call the rockstar CEOs, or the celebrity CEOs, the guys who are larger than life. And I know we have quite a couple of them. And there could be a CFO out there thinking, oh, well, me, by nature, I don't want to be a celebrity, I don't want to be a rock star, so maybe I shouldn't participate in these awards or something. So beyond the recognition, of course, which has its own benefits, are like we've already enumerated. What are the other benefits of being part of this CFO Awards? Are there any other opportunities that they can take advantage of?
Definitely. Yes, there are those that are not very good with the limelight, but what the CFO Forum offers there is networking opportunities, and I know my colleague Charlotte will even speak more about this. And these are quarterly, where you get to interact with your colleagues, not necessarily winners, but people that are in the finance profession. But beyond that, it also offers an opportunity for you to mentor leaders for the future, which is very important. There are other initiatives that are coming into play that are being considered for the CFOs, especially the winners. So once you have won, beyond networking, beyond progressing through the ranks, what more can you do? What value can you add to the society in which you live? And those are things that are now being explored. And of course, a number of these ideas are even coming from the CFOs themselves as drivers of strategy.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And maybe in addition to that...
I'd like to actually add one of the winners that shared with me her experience. And the quote was, "This award just doesn't expose you, it explodes your profile and your reputation." Apparently, before she left the room, she was getting offers to, be taken and lead particular organizations that were poaching. And yes, it might be discomforting to be put out there, but you're also limiting yourself by not being, showcased. Because when you're good, you're good. There's no way of, saying that differently. So we have so many good CFOs or very good finance leaders that are not yet profiled, are not yet showcased out there. And they could just be comfortable because traditionally, Ugandans are not very flamboyant and not very out there. But also, accountants are not people who are going to be talking about what they do. And because for long they've been used to being in the back end of things. And it's just of late that I see intentional nominees coming in, and even by the time they leave after the interview, it's something. Because you're getting feedback, you're being exposed to judges that are normally not your peers, or they are not people you work with. So from that stage, you get exposed to something different. And beyond that, it's the feedback that you get. If you're really interested, each judge will have feedback on how you performed, because the questions are quite generic, but in the discussion, you delve deeper into your work. So the profiling is not only for you as a person, but also for us who are benefiting from what you're doing so well. So yes, we have a CFO award winner overall that became CEO within 3 months. It was already in the works. And, that for me was speaking volumes of what level they are at. As ACCA, we give you opportunities to be profiled in the AB magazine. The AB is Accountant for Business, an Africa-wide, publication. You are invited to speak at international fora by virtue of that positioning. Our overall award winner last year for Africa contributed to the Global Economics Conditions Survey for Q1 this year. So those are professional opportunities that expose you in the right space, and will definitely bring in bigger possibilities for your professional work.
Okay. Interesting. There's a joke in the marketing profession, and if you haven't heard it, don't worry. I've just made up this joke myself. There's a verdict around if Jesus, what profession he was. Whether he was a marketer, whether he was a doctor because he was always busy raising the people, or whether he was an accountant because he was always multiplying bread and fish and all that kind of stuff. But one thing I know, I think he was a marketer because there's somewhere where he mentioned, I don't know the chapter or the book, but I know the verse. It is verse 22. And he talked about that you can't light a lantern and cover it with a basket. So I think it's good saying like it's not enough just be a good accountant, a good finance professional. It helps you a bit more for people to know. And like they also say that awareness is always the first step in every consumption decision. So if there's someone out there planning to hire you, they're not going to hire you if they don't know you, if they've never heard about you. So I think it's important that you participate. And from what I've heard, it's also the very first step you take to enter means you've already started winning. So you only win more when you get to win. And maybe beyond the other obvious benefits that you've talked about, have we seen any other people who have emerged and gone to win, maybe even beyond Uganda? Because once this goes out, then you, like you said, exploding. Have we seen more people exploding beyond Uganda to take on more benefits?
Absolutely. And I think this has generated a lot of interest. The awards are now the 8th edition. But like you rightly said, it has gotten finance professionals out of their comfort zone. They are now more comfortable being in the limelight, being with that visibility. But importantly, what we have seen is that even now across the border, similar recognition platforms are coming up because of the success that we've had here in Uganda. We've also seen professional services firm also showing interest in doing similar or partnering with Deloitte and ACCA to further, create more vibe within this activity that is already running here.
Okay, interesting.
I would like to add, actually, based on the success of the Uganda CFO Awards, ACCA adopted the awards for Africa. And in the last year, 3 awards were given to Ugandans or won by Ugandans. And that, for me, was the showcasing of what talent we have. We won the ESG award and the sustainability award, as well as the overall, who was an SME award winner. So that showed how important the work that we are doing through the Uganda Awards has become, scaling it to the region.
And speaking around that, I believe that usually before you enter an award, it all starts with a self-belief, like, okay, I think I've got a good piece of, either a case study, or it takes some bit of confidence in yourself. Maybe given the insights you picked from all these different editions, what are some of the tips you want to share, and like in terms of what it takes to win? Because I could be a great CFO, but maybe I don't know how to put together a good pitch deck or something. But what are some of the key tips that you picked out on what it takes to win?
A very good narration to start with. And this is also advice for the CFOs that intend to participate. Do not wait to be nominated by someone. Once you look at the categories and you have one that speaks to you, for which you feel qualified, put together narration and attach some evidence that speaks to that narration and submit. If you still feel too humble to do that, pass it on to a colleague to submit it on your behalf, because self-nomination is allowed. The judges use the narration of that category, as well as the 7 vital capabilities of professional accountants, which are available within the link, to shortlist. Now, unless you're shortlisted, you never get to the last stage, which is the interviews. So it starts with a nomination, very good nomination narration. It goes to being shortlisted, and then interacting with the judges to be picked either as the winner or not.
Yeah. So I think it's very important to be very deliberate about taking stock of your key achievements and not wait for the last minute where you now need to submit. But like it's been said, there are our CFOs who are not very good at storytelling and creating that narrative. Take advantage of your colleagues. Give them the pointers. they might be very good at writing your story because they observe you, they interact with you, they can see the difference that you make within your organizations, and they will be able to submit that nomination for you. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I always say people that sometimes, many times we never analyze ourselves. And one tip I've come to learn about myself is that there are those things that people within your circles, they may not tell you to your face, but every time there is an event, you're the one that is being told to organize it. Then you start asking, why is everybody picking up on me? So I think sometimes it may take for you to go and ask your friends and ask them, say, what do you think you guys I'm good at? Because sometimes we tend to either we sometimes try to be over generous with ourselves, or sometimes we underestimate ourselves. We don't see the value in us. So I think that's a very important tip on self-discovery. Maybe as we come much closer to the end of this, I would like to pick from both of you in terms of I don't want to call them like challenges, because sometimes people say there are challenges as other opportunities. But what worries you about the profession, about the economy, about the organizations we lead in terms of the profession? I'll start with Charlotte. What worries you before you go to bed?
Wow. Right now, from where I sit, my biggest worry or challenge is the legal requirement that does not give ACCA qualified accountants, very good accountants, by the way, the same equal footing in this market, Uganda. By law, that recognition of foreign acquired qualifications is not being recognized as, accountants. Yet I also know in this same market, we have our education system recognizes non-Ugandan curricula, and it's giving us value. So my challenge, which is also still an opportunity because that's why we are growing numbers, is to keep the recognition of this very relevant qualification and the talent that we are developing in the country, which is giving value to this market, the due respect and relevance or recognition that it deserves. And then that said, making people aware that ACCA is a global passport really as a qualification. It's an enabler of business, but it gives people opportunities beyond Uganda. Now, when you look at how global the world has become, or how you can work anywhere from wherever you are, I think it is the right qualification for us to give our, youth or young people, because it gives them the right skills to run either businesses for themselves on behalf of others, but also to work beyond Uganda. So it is both a challenge, but it's also an opportunity in the sense that we are tuned to education as a people, but then the right education to give you the right opportunities within and out of here. That is how I look
just before he comes in, and while at that, I have heard it in the corridors being murmured that it's actually advisable, if you intend to pursue a finance profession, you don't actually have to do a university degree. And I've been reading elsewhere that even in some other countries, some guys are no longer looking out whether they did a degree or something. It's more around what you can do, not what you studied. But then here you continue to see adverts saying you must have a university degree, you must have an MBA, and other kind of stuff. So is it actually true that instead of me spending all that money to take my child through university to do BCom, then for them to turn back to come and do ACCA, so would you rather after S6 they go ACCA and, what do you think about that?
The universities are going to have you for that charm. And I think this is a discussion that needs a different podcast altogether. But to answer your question, ACCA as a qualification can be pursued after Senior 4 through the basic entry level or foundations in accountancy, or after Senior 6 through the main route of ACCA, which now gets you to the 3 levels. It calls for mindset change and an absolute shift, which I think has started slightly with curriculum change in O-level. That is going to inform people how they pursue or how they look at learning and education generally. While we have these courses available and doable after this stage of high school, it has for long been perceived as you need a degree. I think we know that out there, degrees are not actually the entry level into the workplace. And employers and the workplace right now is looking for skills. Yes, I think we hide behind the qualification of a bachelor's degree, but in reality, we need to have even the HRs or the organizations relook at their entry-level requirements and have a shift on what is it they're looking for. You can also attest to the new realization of vocational studies, because we have too many degrees in the market that are not fully utilized. And that is where I think the problem or the disconnect has come from. So if I'm to speak just for ACCA, that's the reason we go to high schools. Yes, it is doable after Senior 6 if you have 2 principal passes. And within it, we have blended learning, which gives one a degree as well, because a degree is a knowledge-based qualification or academic qualification, while ACCA is a professional or skills-based qualification.
Just to chip in on that, and before I respond to the other question, it's interesting that I had a conversation very much around this same thing yesterday with colleagues and university students. And when you are young, you don't realize that you have a whole lot of time on your hands, which you need to put to good use. Our colleagues across the border have done that already. By the time they're finishing their university, they also have their professional qualification. So there is nothing that should stop, especially the young people that are aspiring to take on these positions, to get their professional qualification. Do your ACCA. And by the time you're joining the job market, you already have this. But back to the things that keep me awake. We are operating in an environment that is significantly volatile, where there is a whole lot of uncertainty, ambiguity, and different complexities. And for Deloitte as a professional services firm, the expectation is that we should be providing solutions to our clients, being responsive and being there when they need to respond to these challenges. We do sell a service, and that means we need to have the highest caliber of people or resources that are delivering these solutions, that are all able to generate solutions and respond to the ever-evolving environment in which we operate. So that is what really keeps us awake, and skilling and upskilling is very key to that. And partnering with the ACCA and driving the CFO agenda, creating mentors for the future is top of our agenda.
Okay. Interesting. Maybe now as we close, any parting shots, maybe that things that you like business leaders out there and not necessarily the finance people to know, and maybe you felt those issues were not addressed in my questions, you thought I was being a bit selfish with my questions, but there are things that you really want people out there to know about leadership, about finance, about everything else that is not political. I'll start with this, Charlotte, then we can close with Joseph.
Thank you, Cham. It was a good discussion, I think, that we just had, from CFO awards to the qualification and what it takes, but to the finance or business leaders, rather. My call is to have the right people in place. I think one of the problems we have as a country is probably having the wrong people in the right jobs, or not getting those that have endeavored to qualify to do some of these roles. And the ripple effect of that is you just have underperformance or no performance. And in the long run, the ones who are qualified get frustrated, and they really come back to discourage the ones who are pursuing some of this education or learning to do the right things. He just spoke of business consultancy services that they do as Deloitte, and you find so many businesses out there that are struggling, and they're not aware, or they're not putting to use all these resources. So if you can negotiate the prices, but also respect the time and learning that people have put to the education, and have them to do the right decisions or projections and financial accounting for you. We struggle with the SME category, and simply because probably they're not employing the right professionals. That is my call to the business leaders: have the right people in place. Yes.
Thank you.
Right, so I'll try to add on to what Charlotte just shared. And for me, as business leaders, having an awareness of the environment in which you're operating, both the micro and macro environment, is very key. It helps you formulate strategies that are more proactive rather than reactive to these challenges. And one of the key components is having, yes, the right people with the right skills, but also investing wisely in the tools to enable these people give you their best when you have them on board. So leaders, managers, our CFOs need to be very deliberate about this. That's my take.
Okay. All right, guys, thank you very much. Once again, we wish to thank you, ACCA Uganda and Deloitte Uganda, for the good job you're doing in firing up this profession and keeping everybody interested and giving people a chance to learn and relearn. Of course, we also would like to thank our partners, MTN Uganda, Bank of Uganda, NCBA Bank, UPPC, Osera Technologies, CEO East Africa Magazine, of course, and many other partners that have over time joined us to make the finance profession rise up to the occasion and take the leadership mantle. And of course, we also encourage you, other people out there who are watching this vlog, please do subscribe to the CFO Playbook, where we'll have different enriching conversations about leadership, especially in the finance profession. And until next time, I remain Muhereza Kyamutetera of Uganda.
CFO Playbook by CEO East Africa Magazine in association with ACCA Uganda and Deloitte, with support from MTN Uganda, Uganda Airlines, NCBA Bank, Bank of Uganda, Uganda Printing and Publishing Corporation, NPS TV, and Osera Technologies.